Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Songwriters Block. My name is John Roniger. We are continuing to move forward, but I think we're going to start doing some stuff, what I kind of got into this whole thing for, which is throwing some songs on the block, chopping them up, talking about them a little bit, and seeing where that takes us. We get an idea of how some songs were built. So I wanted to start with, in my opinion, one of the greatest songs ever written. I'm not going to say it's the greatest song ever written. That is, of course, a personal opinion to everyone out there. But in my opinion, one of the greatest songs ever written, and that is Let It Be by the Beatles, credited songwriters John Lennon and Paul McCartney. This one sounds to me mostly like Paul. And we have to get the Beatles aficionado on here sometime. I'm very good friends with someone who considers himself to be like the top Beatles aficionado on the planet, Mr. Robert Reynolds of the band The Mavericks. And maybe I'll have Robert do a little kind of like a dual stream with me, a live stream, and we'll talk more about the Beatles and their songwriting. But I've been talking to up to this point, sort of seeing the world in snapshots, and then filling in the backstory or the forestory, or building your songs around these snapshots. They could also be called like a lyrical hook or a tagline, not really a tagline, but a lyrical hook, something that always brings the song back to this main idea. So, one of the best songs to do that with, in my humble opinion, is a song called Let It Be by John Lennon and Paul McCartney of the Beatles. For those of you who aren't familiar with the band called the Beatles, one, you should move to planet Earth. And if you're living on planet Earth and you still don't know about the Beatles, then you should use probably the thing that's in your palm of your hand called your phone. You can even ask Siri, who are the Beatles? And before, it'll probably come up before the Beatles, it'll probably come up as this band that existed that some would argue rewrote the way popular music was written and played. Anyway, that's not the point. What I'm getting to is the songwriting. And let's talk about this song, Let It Be. So I'm just going to throw this song onto the writer's block. We'll chop it up a little bit. Let's just talk about the concept, Let It Be. I don't know where the song came from. I would have to do a little bit more research. But Let It Be is just a great line. And I'm sure it popped into Paul's head, Let It Be, as was the time they were going through a movement where people were just, it was a little bit of a hippie movement, or a lot of a hippie movement. Hey man, just let it be, bro. Or they're probably like, hey dude, let it be. Or maybe it was, come on man, let it be. Either way, let it be was probably a popular phrase of the time, which is a great line. It's a great way to bring a song back home again. Let's just read some lyrics here. I'll type them out on the screen too so you can read along with me as I read them. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Now, one of the best things about a lyric, in my humble opinion, is when you can read a lyric and it reads like poetry and it makes sense as you read it, you're doing something pretty good. So there you go. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. I'm in, count me in. What else you got to say? And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Mother Mary, man, he tapped right into the cosmic source of faith. Mother Mary is talking to him. So to me, right then, first verse, personal. This is what I'm going through in my life. This is how I see things. This is what it means to me. The whole song starts out, something deep is inside of me is speaking to me. Mother frickin' Mary. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom. Man, that's another good line right there. Let it be. So, again, I've said it before, we were talking about things in your life, things that mean something to you, things you personally are going through. Put them in your songs. People relate to that stuff. I feel like a lot of times, especially these days, people are writing so far outside of themselves. They're just trying to write about things that they think sound cool, or that they think might sound cool to other people, or that they think other people might think sound cool. I don't even know. I can't do the math on any of the things I just said. But what it means to me is it means nothing to you. And that's the problem. So, great part of this song starts super personal. And we don't have to get into the production, the music, or the melody, which I'm sure were happening, melody and chord-wise were happening simultaneously as this thing was written, or shortly thereafter. But those things aside, because we're not talking about that, we're talking about just lyrics right now, it's just unbelievably personal. Let's move on to the next verse. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. Well, there it is. He just went from super personal to the whole frickin' world. All the broken-hearted people. And I'll tell you what, this was a long time ago, and that has deep meaning to the world right here today in 2020. Now, that's a song. When you've related to your era and 4 decades later, you're doing a pretty good thing. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. There again. I mean, come on. For though they may be parted. Well, there's a lot of people that parted right now. I'll tell you what. There will be an answer. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, Paul. There isn't one yet. You wrote the song a long time ago, and there hasn't been an answer yet. But I agree that there will be an answer one day. I'm not exactly sure we found it yet. Let it be, blah, 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 let it be. Okay, yeah, there will be an answer, let it be. Okay, so look, again, so this is really, really cool. Inside, personal. This is what's happening in my life. I feel there's a source of inspiration speaking to me, giving me this idea. Then, how does that relate to the world today that I'm living in? How I see the world this way, and how does that relate to the world this way? I mean, these are like crucial elements to a song. And even if you don't write frickin' Let It Be, which you can't because it's already been done, but even if you don't write a song of that quote-unquote caliber, if you look down at the page and you see, wow, this song has deep meaning to me, it makes me feel so good to read the lyrics and hopefully one day sing that song. None of the rest of it matters. How popular the song becomes, if you ever make a dime off that song, if anyone ever hears that song, it won't matter because you will have written something that has deep personal meaning to you. I used to go... I was living in Nashville, and I would go to ASCAP, my PRO at the time, my performance rights organization at the time. And I would have a conversation with this guy who's no longer there, and he ended up passing away a few years ago. And while that's incredibly sad, he and I never saw eye to eye on what songs were for. I kept saying that songs were supposed to be inside songs. They were supposed to mean something to the writer. And if they became popular, that meant that other people also agreed and shared that same sentiment, that same value. And he argued that no, your job was to write to sort of what was popular, to try and write, to almost catch up to what people were writing. He had calculations on how long songs should be, how long it should be before you get to the chorus, what you should be writing about. He gave me grief one day about a song called Will You Be There that I sing now, that I think is a great song that I wrote with my friend Chris Gantry. And he gave me a speech about how, and this was in country music, he would say, the artist can never have done wrong, the artist can never be apologizing for having done wrong. The artist can never admit to having been wrong. And I was like, well, I don't even know how to respond to that because I don't think you could be any more wrong. Like, that's not what writing songs is about. Songwriters or like an artist. You don't tell a painter to only paint things that they think people will like. You ask the artist to paint something that has deep meaning to that artist, and then if people like it, great. It makes me wonder, Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel ceiling. He might have been commissioned to say, he might have been paid to put that particular sort of branding, that particular sort of, historical or not historical, biblical imagery onto the ceiling. But it could have also just been what was moving him at the time. The spirit of God was moving him to paint that. He was inside this unbelievable, cathedral, and he painted that. I don't know. I'd love to ask the guy. But let's continue with Let It Be. So we went from deeply inside to the whole world, and now what do we got for the third verse? And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be hope. Me, I have hope. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be hope. Brought it back home. He started personal, whole world, brought it back to personal with hope. So, the whole song really is about hope. There will be an answer, whisper words of wisdom, let it be, all those things. Hope, hopity, hope, hope, hope. And I tell you what, that's a great theme. Anyway, one of the greatest songs ever written, Let It Be, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, chopping it up on the block a little bit. I'm not going into melody, production, chord structure yet. I think we're just trying to talk about lyrics, pulling the lyric out of you. And obviously, this helps me. I love talking about this stuff because it helps me think about the way I want to write. But we've come up till now. We've been focusing on snapshots, little idea like "Let It Be," which happens to be a friggin' huge idea in 3 words. That you can bring that home, and of course no one does it quite like Paul McCartney or of course John Lennon. So there it is, just an ideas to think about when you're writing. As you sit down and write, please don't sit down to try and write Let It Be. Although I have done, I admit now I have done that. I actually have sat down. I love Tom Waits. I would love every one of my songs to be a Tom Waits song. So I actually sit down and I will say in my head like, okay, let's sit down and what would Tom Waits do? And you know what? All that's ever come out of that is crap. Because what I should really be thinking about is, what would John Ronager write? What is he thinking about? What's going on today in his life? And how would he turn that into song? So please do the same yourself. All right. So this was on this episode. I'm talking about one of the best songs ever written. On the next episode, I will put on the Songwriters block one of the worst songs ever written. There's a lot of them. This one became successful, very successful in country music. And I listened to it again just to make sure. And and again, it was hard. It was hard to listen to. And I pulled up the lyrics, so I read along, and that made it even harder. So we'll do that. We'll do that on the next one. For now, let's think about good songs, a la "Let It Be," and go from there. Anyway, this is the Songwriters Block. My name is John Ronager, and y'all get out there and write a song. Peace.